be like, yo, this guy here. But like she deals with it and I love her. But so I'm sitting in your shoes.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm gonna make a policy? Like, what is the? Because you think about, my brain is like, what? Like, is there step one, step two, step? Like, how do you make a policy?
Yeah. First, you identify the problem, and then how you talk about the problem is also really important for what kind of solutions can be available.
So, what's the problem that you think?
So, for example, if I said, the problem is that we're not getting enough oil out the Inglewood oil field, then one of the solutions, if I define the problem that way, we're not getting enough oil, and your answer might be like, we need to drill deeper. We need more, we need to go further down into the earth to try to fracture and crack up some more oil. If I define the problem as, black kids who live around the Inglewood oil field have asthma and people die 10 years sooner, and it's not lowering your gas prices, one of the solutions to that problem could be, well, then shut it down, right? And so how you define the problems, that's the start. Then once you lead towards the solutions, you got to work through the technical language, like how do you actually do it? How do you make it legal? How do you make it constitutional? And then step 3, are you doing this by yourself? And sometimes, bro, I've been in there by myself, and those are the ones where nobody sees, community don't see, nobody knows, because like I'm just boxing alone. Most of the time, I try to bring folk with me.
You need a live stream.
You know what I mean?
You need a live stream.
So I'll be like out going to neighborhoods around the oil field, like, how you feel about these oil wells right next to your house? I want them shut down. All right, well, let me get your contact. Because when I make this play, like I want you to see it. I want you to know. I want you to be able to call in. I want you to be able to show up when we do community stuff. And that's how you build, kind of that power. But that's real work. And it takes a lot of time, to maintain. And if I don't have that, like we talked a minute ago, it's really hard for me to go solo dolo up again and try to get 41 votes. If I got 9 in the pocket, I'm one of the 9. So actually I got 8 in the pocket. You know what I mean? They going to be with most of. Most of them going to be with me all the time. But I got to go get the rest. And I get some love that not everybody gets because I just try to treat people right and had an interesting life experience and connect with different people from different places. But you need that people power. Yeah. So you go from the problem, solution, community power, and then you start fighting.
Real influence.
I introduce bills every January, February, by the way, if you didn't know that. I have a window where I have to introduce stuff. And then from February to like almost September, I'm fighting for them things I introduced.
That you introduced.
And I'm gonna lose a couple of them along the way, and I'm never putting those on Instagram. We don't take L's. You know what I'm saying? We don't take L's in front of the public.
Is this shit like sports? Like in the 41, is it like go Bryan? Like that nigga be dropping 40. Like is it like a nigga who like this nigga nice? Like
yes.
Who are you
like game recognized game.
That's what I'm saying. Like
somebody gets up and like you didn't think you cared about this thing, and they hit you with something, and you're like, man, now this is the most important thing to me. That's it. Or when I had a moment, one of my favorite moments this year, I have another bill. It's not about the incarcerated firefighters, but the state has a thing on the books that says if you're in county jail, we can only pay you a maximum of 25 cents an hour for your labor. Not in prison if you're in county jail. I'm like, why does the state set a maximum? Let the county runs the jails. Let the county pay whatever. If LA want to pay you $7, if San Diego want to pay you $10, if San Francisco want to pay you $3, like let them decide. The state shouldn't be telling you what to do. And that doesn't cost the state any money for me to just erase, literally, like that's a problem, solution, erase this line. Yeah. And I got a bill, it's Assembly Bill 248. And when I brought it to the Assembly floor, Republicans was losing their minds. They were like, hey, because the sheriff was losing their mind. Because the sheriff's like, hey, if a county decides to pay people in jail more, that's money they could have paid to our salaries, our overtime, right? So why give it to the inmates, the people incarcerated, when it could be going to us policing? So the sheriff's like, this doesn't cost money now, but it might cost money in the future, so we're a no. So the Republicans started speaking up against it, and 2 of them got up and spoke, said this is terrible, and then one of them got up and said, I read it and I don't think it's that bad, and I'm gonna vote for it. Wow. And the whole room was like, wow, what? And 2 of them were sitting next to each other. Like one got up, said no, the next one got up and said yes, and that's called your seatmate. And usually that's like a little sacred relationship. Like you respect your seatmate. You don't want to make your seatmate look crazy. I'm not gonna talk against your stuff.
Oh, this shit's so cool.
So it's like you got up against your seatmate to ride for me, for incarcerated people, and I won't forget him for that. Right. Josh Hoover is his name.
And then does it work like, oh, next time I need something passed? Is it kind of like I voted for yours?
Not like that. It's more like next time I think something's crazy you doing, let me hear you out. Let me get to know your heart. Let me get to know where you're coming from. And it still might offend my core values and I can't get there.
Yeah.
You know, but if it doesn't, maybe I can.
Right,
And it's crazy. I got a homie up north. His name is Juan Alanis. And he was a sergeant in his sheriff's department. And when I go to public safety with things, Juan and I have built such a personal relationship in terms of him understanding where I'm coming from and seeing my heart, because I served on public safety with him. So every day he vote yes, I vote no. I vote yes, he vote no. For 2 years we did that. And now I'm not on public safety anymore. When I come through with my bills, though, because he got to hear how I think and how I feel all that time, he takes a hard look. He's the reason that the incarcerated firefighter bill got all the support, because it went through public safety first. And Juan said, yeah, I'm good.
That's fire.
And once the sheriff said he good, which one of y'all non-cops on the floor gonna stand up and be like, you know what I mean? Like it was powerful. And that doesn't mean I agree with him, vote for all of his stuff.
Right.
We killed one of his bills this year, you know, around racial profiling and collecting data on police stops. He had a bill and the Black Caucus said, nah, man, we can't let you roll with this. But it's still love. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Quick question, going back to like the $7 minimum wage thing. I guess the opposing argument, I would imagine, is like they don't want people getting comfortable in jail, maybe, right? Like, was that an argument or what? Because I can also like low-key see the side of it being like some people would be better off in jail and get employed and have a job. Does that increase costs for the community? Or I guess I'm trying to understand like the opposition.
Yeah, so
that's a good point, though.
It wasn't quite there, but it was kind of there. And it was actually, if you pay them so much, aren't those jobs other people could have on the outside? And the other was, if you pay them so much, then there's no incentive for us to use them.
Right.
Versus somebody. Well, the reason we use them is because we pay them nothing. And because they do the hard, right, it's slave
That's
labor.
a little immoral. What the hell?
That's what I said.
What the hell?
And because they do the hardest work. Like when you see pictures of the fires at night and you see these little lights on the mountain going up, digging the trench lines, like that's incarcerated people.
Yeah, no.
Right, and so people on the outside don't actually want to do that job.
I see.
So that was part of it. So if you pay them so much, then our guys who have never been convicted of anything gonna have feelings, and it's not attractive for us to use them. But I don't think anybody wants to go to prison to be an incarcerated firefighter. I don't think that's fun. I don't think folks enjoy it, but it does give folks who have done something wrong in their life a moment for redemption and hope and accountability, and to rethink of how they see themselves, like the hero we all see you as from saving LA earlier this year. And so that was the real. And then the other argument is like, well, if you spending money on them, like it's a whole state budget. That's money you could have spent on education or healthcare or anything else. And so like I had to fight that argument too and be like, it's not that much money. Yeah. It's morally right. It's an important thing to do. Yeah. And we're not going to save any other program off of what we paying them. We should just make that right and then figure the rest out as well.
Do you guys ever bring in like stories, or do you have like case studies that you use as like people as examples? Like, oh, this is Johnny.
Every time. So when I go to committee, man, I'm taking y'all to Sacramento next year. When I go to committee, next year when I introduce bills and I go, well, I'm in the Senate right now going through their committees. Okay. So once you get your bills out the assembly, you got to do the same process on the other side. And then you throw it up to the governor and just pray. You know what I mean? If you got a good relationship, you might be able to push. I pushed on the Inglewood oil field. Like I was texting bro, like, hey, you have to sign this. But it's tough. You don't want to over lean on him. He's got all of us leaning on him and the world leaning on him. So you throw it up to him and you just pray that you made the best case all the way through the process. It helps if you get support from everybody. And you put the money in the budget. Like he's gonna sign it. I don't even have to pray. Yeah. I'm looking forward to where are we gonna sign it at. But to your point, when I go to committee, like the public safety committee, when I was trying to win Juan over and Tom Lackey, who's up in Lancaster, 2 Republicans, 1 highway patrol, 1 sheriff department. I was like, I got the votes. I got all the Democratic votes. I'm gonna get out of committee. But if I pick them up, I'm smooth the rest of the way. So we rode up with like 300 formerly incarcerated people.
Oh, wow.
All up in Sacramento and around the state. They all came for this moment. And I had 3 formerly incarcerated firefighters with me testifying.
Hell yeah.
And one of them was an incarcerated firefighter, came out, became a Cal firefighter, is currently a Cal firefighter, testifying with me. And because I knew I had the votes to get out with just the Dems, I knew I had the votes. I was just trying to get these 2 pickups.
Yeah.
I also scheduled a press conference that day just to like build them up, like, hey, they better get this bill out because I knew it was gonna get out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And just build the momentum and really just build the public push. Like, this is a thing. Let's all jump in. And then when they both voted for it, it was a huge day. All the incarcerated folk who came, like, there was tears. And then the next fight was like, can you get the money though? The bill's cool, but can you actually get the money in the budget? Because that's a separate process. The governor vetoes bills every year, and his out is the money ain't in the budget.
Wow. I love that. I think that speaks to just like the importance of the human like connection. And as a journalist, like that's something that I've led with in all of my stories. Like I did this project in college for my capstone, and it was about reincarceration, basically, like from reoffenders or people who like, you know, leave jail, what opportunities are available for them. And so like I volunteered at Homeboy Industries, and I like got to know a lot of like formerly incarcerated people at my time there. And like somebody that I met was like a wrongly incarcerated person. He was locked up for like years, like 10 years of his life for something he didn't do. And it came out, you know, at the end of his sentence, like 10 years later, you know, he got locked up for murder pretty much. And he got wrongly identified. And like later at the end of his sentence, a witness came forward and like said, you know, admitted that I fucked up. I wasn't sure. And so he lost, you know, 10 years of his life, like had children, met a girl, like was about to get married, and all that to come out and like not have any, you know, programs or resources available for them. So all that to say, my capstone was about like the reincarceration process, or like reintegration into community, and like how that matters. And it took me actually talking to people who, you know, we're like the oddball cases, like somebody who is wrongly incarcerated, or these things happen, you know, and it's like hearing the stories, hearing like the heartbreakingness of it. It's like, if it's 1 in 100, like that, it's crazy how those things can happen. So all that to say is like, I really love the angle of just using human experiences to fight for those cases. 'Cause I think that's just what brings people to like understand like, oh, this shit could happen to anybody, you know. And
that's why having people in the office too that have lived life, like, and been, because these are privileged positions. Like a lot of nepotism happens, a lot of stuff like that. Like you don't get born to a teenage mom, you know, who's brutally attacked, given up, adopted, bounced around, you know, 12 brothers and sisters. My little brother's still in car. Like more likely I was supposed to go a different pathway, right? And, you know, I still have family, you know, on the streets, still have family inside incarcerated walls, right? And so to be in this position, that also gives me a lot of credibility and authenticity when I'm talking to my colleagues about the things. Like don't come at me about foster youth, right? You know what I mean? Don't talk to me about, you know, certain things, you know, when you don't know anything about them. Right? You never experienced them. And I think connecting with people in the community that have those experiences, that's how you build power too, because it's about trust.
Yeah, well said.
My last question, I know you touched on it, but like, you want the Inglewood oil field, oil field gone because why?
Because it's not getting any oil. Like the average well is getting a barrel a day. For contrast, up in like Kern County where we're pumping heavy, they're doing 300, 400, 500 barrels a day. So it ain't affecting your gas prices, this field. The only reason it's not closed now is because that barrel a day is worth some money, and to close it, I got to spend some money. So just let that thing run. You know, just let it run while I cash out, and it's millions. There's folks making millions off our community, but the people around it, they die sooner. They have higher rates of heart conditions. Kids have asthma rates. And so I don't just want to close. We passed the law to close it by 2030. The governor signed it in the field. And I'm hitting that oil company for all the damage they've caused. They have to pay $20 million a year until it's closed into a fund that can only be spent by the state, because I didn't want nobody jacking our money, can only be spent in communities within 2.5 miles of the field. So once they start paying in, you know, I don't want to overly forecast, but like I could do bills like, you know, every house with childhood asthma, you know, basic income or a health stipend from the state, you know, or let's rebuild, you know, invest in health and wellness centers in our communities. It honestly is environmental reparations. Folks ain't calling it that, but like it's community reparations for folks that were harmed by this environmental damage. And the reason I didn't call it that, by the way, is because it would have made it harder to get to that 41.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. What? You ain't getting that.
I was like public health and dying and grandmamas, you know what I mean? But it's going to be a really powerful thing, and I don't think the state has ever had legislation like that. No one's ever done something like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping people in other states follow with the things that are in their communities that are killing it. Like I had to fight an oil company. Yeah. And we won.
It's powerful, man. This is dope. We got to get some younger people in positions like you know what I'm saying? Because I think the older cats probably they're not thinking hard enough, man. I don't know. I don't want to disrespect them, but it's
the younger people too. You know, I feel like everyone's relying on AI now to get their information. I saw a stat today that said like website links from news sources are down 50%. Because people just go on ChatGPT or if you type on Google now, it's like AI is the first like summary that pops up. And it's preventing people from clicking on links.
That's crazy.
So all that to say,
I don't know about that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Down 50%?
Yeah. Like reputable places like New York Times and Business Insider. You know, New York Times is suing OpenAI for copyright infringement. So it's a lot going on. But all that to say, I hope people figure out a way to get informed and like you said, do the work in person on the streets with the community because that truly is like the caveat for change. So with that said, thank you for taking the time. You dropped some gems. Yeah. This was a great episode. Very informative.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, I like it, man. Appreciate you for coming. SBRBNLA Podcast, the best in LA.
We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for a couple more. Well, not a couple more, but
next week we'll be live.
Yeah, next week we'll be live. So let us know who you want to see, any topics you want us to talk about, any guest ideas that you might have. We want to hear from you guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. It's your girl, Tallie.
It's your boy, Scottie. We out.
And our guest.
We never out.
We'll see y'all next time.
Oh.